Greetings all, hope you're doing well out there. Another little video here from Not the Norm. As usual, I start off with caveat emptor. Pretty much means buyer beware, do your own research, don't believe anything I tell you, because this is all just for entertainment purposes. So today's video is going to be about religion, because there's lots of Jesus believers out there and Bible bashers coming on the internet and social media these days. They're all thinking they're in the end times. They're not quite in the end times yet, but I won't go into any detail of my beliefs on that. But religion, what is it? So we have the RE in the front of the word there, which, as you know, in front of words means to do again as a prefix. It means again. And legion or legion is a Latin infinitive verb meaning to bind. So if you want to be bound once or bound twice, then that's your choice, of course. Now, as for me, I do believe in a higher power, something bigger than us that's going on here, and I tend to use the word oversoul myself. I don't like the word God either. God is actually a hierarchy, and I've got nothing against God. It's the people that hang around, or the fan club, as they say, that I can't stand. So for me, religion's not a very good thing. It's very constrictive. It puts you in a box, and when you start to look at what some of the religions around the world have been doing and have done, I'm not sure why anyone would want to be associated with them. So spirituality is probably where I sit with things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you've all got to make your own choices out there, as God did give us free will. Although we do hear in Luke 17 through verses 20-24 actually, that the kingdom of God is not found in the temples or synagogues. So what that means is you're not going to find God in the churches, folks. All you're going to do is find a bit of brainwashing and control. Because if anyone speaks out against the church or questions too much, then they soon find themselves thrown out of the flock. 17:20-21 of Luke clearly states that God's kingdom is within you. And not only that, we hear here in Acts 7, chapter 7, verse 48, howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with the hands, as saith the prophet. So, these temples made by man are not where you're going to find God. In fact, the temples you're going to find God are the ones that sit on the outsides of your head just below your crown. And here we have a quote from Seneca, who was a Stoic philosopher in the 1st century AD, actually, at the same time as that Jesus, Jesus, Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever name you want to give that character, was running around. He says, religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by the rulers as useful. Even Napoleon Bonaparte here says, religion is here so the poor don't murder the rich. And another quote here from Edgar Allan Poe. He says, all religion, my friend, is simply evolved out of fraud, fear, greed, imagination, and poetry. Even Ricky Gervais chimes in. He says, it's almost as if the Bible was written by racist, sexist, homophobic, violent, sexually frustrated men instead of a loving God. And here we have Thomas Paine, an English-born founding father. He says, whenever we read the obscene stories, the voluptuous debaucheries, the cruel and torturous executions, the unrelenting vindictiveness with which more than half the Bible is filled, it would be more consistent that we called it the word of a demon than the word of God. It is a history of wickedness that has served to corrupt and brutalize mankind, and for my part I sincerely detest it, as I detest everything that is cruel. And then there's those who might argue that the Bible is 100% accurate, but I would posit that maybe is only when it's thrown at close distance. And here we have it. It's like this. I created man and woman with original sin. Then I destroyed most of them for sinning. Then I impregnated a woman with myself as her child, so that I could be born. Later, I will kill myself as a sacrifice to myself to save all of you from the sin I gave you in the first place. I mean, this is how ridiculous it is. And then when you go and think about it and you read a little bit of the Bible there and you find out that in the Garden of Eden was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So we're clearly being told there that evil was already around before man came along. Another contradiction, just as there are many in the Bible, as you can see here. I'll leave you guys to go and have a look at a few of those, but here's some of the do's and don'ts. And upon deeper inspection, one must really question whether religious is actually freedom at all. And of course, religion being a construct based on faith, it gives us answers that must never be questioned. Whereas in line with spirituality and openness and fairness and questioning involves questions that may never be answered. Because as I said earlier, the what's actually going on here in this particular realm is bigger than all of us, and none of us all have the only answer to things. And as they say in the old proverb, there are many roads that lead to Rome. And here we have one of the indigenous or originy peoples of the earth asking a priest, if I did not know about God and sin, would I go to hell? The priest answers, no, not if you did not know. And the Eskimo questions, well, then why did you tell me? And when we think about this, we're told in the Bible that the only way to heaven and God is through Jesus. But I mean, let's think about that. There are millions, or if not hundreds of millions, of Aborigines and Indigenous people that have never even heard of this character called Jesus. So, if the only way to heaven is through Jesus, then there's lots of people that ain't going to heaven according to their particular construct. So again, this reeks of hypocrisy in my view. And then here we have many of the descriptive monikers of this individual character, or the oversoul, if you like, and they don't even seem to be able to agree on that, whether it's Yahweh, Jesus, or Isos. So, I mean, it begs a lot of questions. And then when we look at the facts of the matter and we go back a little bit in history, we find that there are at least a dozen sacrificed saviours that are recorded throughout history. And again, this really begs the question of where these stories actually came from. And that becomes very difficult to determine once we realise that there's at least over 60 different versions of the Bible out there that are officially recognised. And so, it begs the question which one you go to. Most people, of course, go to the King James Version. But then we have to look at all the pre-biblical writings called the Gnostic texts and things like the Bhagavad Gita, the Nag Hammadi texts. All these things were going out of fashion in the time because it didn't fit with the narrative that the church was trying to propagate. So again, we need to ask some serious questions as to what the true stories are. And one of those stories, of course, is with regards to Abraham, who was the father of Judaism, Christianity and Islam, the three major religions that we have out there. Because a person who would murder their child because a voice told them to is someone the whole world should admire and follow. What a lot of people don't seem to realise, in fact, is that this individual called Abraham is a retelling from the Hindu and Vedic texts from centuries earlier. And of course, in the Bible we have Abraham and Sarah, but this is taken from, as I say, older texts, thousands of years earlier actually, and in fact is Brahma and Saraswati. So we have to really start questioning the revised and censored versions of these stories, because as I say, we go back in history and we find that the Bible as we have it today, or the most common one being the King James Version, is a rewriting of much older stories, which can be found in what is called the non-canonical books. And these are books that were left out of the Bible, or and on purpose too, because they didn't fit the narrative of the church at the time. And these non-canonical texts, such as the Book of Jasher, the Second Book of Enoch, the books of Esdras, they were left out on purpose because, as I say, they didn't fit the narrative of the church at the time, such as these. But there was a very concerted effort by the church at the time, back in the day, under what's called the doctrine of discovery in 1452, where there was a real effort to go out there and burn and kill and destroy books and things that went against the church's narrative. And there's lots of evidence of this out there if we go look at some of the symbology and some of the individuals who were behind or instrumental in divulging some of these truths to us. And, as it says in the Bible there, seek the truth and the truth shall set you free. Unfortunately, though, there's lots of Christians out there who are just blind believers and not really interested in the truth. and they don't do their own research. So I advise you all to go out there and do your own research, look into these things yourself, and I think you'll find a pretty amazing story behind it all. Now, throughout this video, I've pretty much taken the piss, if you like, out of the Bible to a certain degree. But as much as there's great evil in the Bible, there is also some beautiful truths and some amazing parables, and these are the things I think you should concentrate on. If you look at the spoken words of Jesus and get yourselves a Bible that has actually got the words of Jesus in the red texts, this is pretty much all you need to know, because all those truths are there, and if you look into it, you'll find that many of them actually work hand in hand with the what are called maxims of law. I'll probably do a video at some stage on maxims of law for yous, but at this stage I'll pretty much leave it there. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment, and we'll catch you all on the next one. Cheers.